This is the Nerdy News Rundown. It's like the news, but for nerds. Nerdvengers, what is up? It is Josh, and yes, the Nerdy News Rundown has returned, and it shall be here to stay. Each day, Monday through Friday, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will do a 10 to 15 minute long video just breaking down all of the different news topics that have gone on during the course of a day. Today's episode is for April 19th of 2021, and today's top story is the Shang Chi trailer. Marvel Studios released the first official look at Shang Chi with a 2-minute trailer, and man, was it awesome. The trailer is currently sitting at #1 on YouTube trending, and it has 5.4 million views with 440,000 smashes of the like button. By the way, we'd be really happy with even 1,000 of those, so please smash the like. And only 5.1 smashes down. Shang-Chi was trending on Twitter for most of the morning and early afternoon. It's currently still trending on Twitter, but seems to be trending through a promotion by Marvel Studios. However, organically, it did break into big-time trending and actually pushed the Eternals and Iron Fist, because everybody's like, wow, this looks unbelievable. What happened with Iron Fist? Into the trending on Twitter as well. I would say a massive day for Marvel Studios. People have been not so interested in Shang-Chi, and for a first look, man, I think this turned a lot of people around and got them very excited for the movie. We talked about this trailer on the morning stream over on our live streaming channel. We also did a detailed breakdown video, which you can find on this channel that you are watching. We recommend going to check that out if you want to look further into what was going on with the trailer. But if you missed it, the Shang-Chi trailer came out today, and it was massive news. Next up, we have a very weird story all about Sony, Marvel Studios, and the Spider-Man franchise. Avi Arad, who is a producer that started at Marvel Studios and ended up working over at Sony, was trending all throughout the day yesterday. This is mostly because a set of direct messages were leaked out. There were leaked DMs, not even from Avi himself, but from someone very reliable speaking about Avi Arad and airing out some dirty laundry or spilling some tea from the Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures arrangement with the Tom Holland Spider-Man film. Now, we are not going to release or show those exact DMs here, but they're pretty easy to find. They're on Reddit, they're all over Twitter, and we did go over them on the live streaming channel earlier today. But the TLDR on these leaked DMs is they do appear to be real and at least somewhat accurate, and they are coming from a person that is connected to the editor-in-chief of Geeks Worldwide, who has also come forward to sort of vouch for the validity of this story. I have also been told by several sources that there's a lot here that is true, but that is as far as I will go to validate the exact nature of what is going on or what did go on between Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. Let's just call a spade here, guys. We don't know exactly how truthful this is, but it is blowing up, and we are going to talk about it. There are a couple of main takeaways from the leaked DMs and just sort of the peripherals that people are now talking about and feeling more comfortable coming out to say. Number one, it looks as though Kevin Feige and John Watts wanted Vision and War Machine to be in Spider-Man Far From Home, and that idea was apparently nixed by Avi Arad, who instead wanted to just focus on Iron Man being in that film. Apparently, Kevin Feige and John Watts wanted more actual Uncle Ben in Peter's story throughout both of the films, and the sequence in which the zombie Iron Man pops out of the grave. Yeah, that scene originally was going to show that zombie popping out of the grave of Ben Parker, sort of showing a representation of the idea that Peter was imprinting his relationship with Uncle Ben on to Iron Man. Apparently, according to the leaks and some of the peripherals out there, Avi Arad thought this was a terrible idea and actually wanted to make Tony Stark a father figure to kind of replace Uncle Ben. It was also leaked out that apparently in the scene in Far From Home, where Peter accidentally leads to the crazy attack on that ship that leads to Iron Man coming in and saving the day, making Peter look foolish and youthful and showing Iron Man as a wise hero that is completely put together. Apparently, in the original version of that scene, Vision, War Machine, and Iron Man would come in, screw things up even worse, and Peter would be going around saving people. Now, comic book fans are probably already getting their blood hot by hearing me say this, because all comic book fans know Peter Parker is way better at being a hero than a lot of the other larger big heroes, including Tony Stark. It feels more like Peter from the comics to have him actually being heroic in that example, and the Avengers being too corporate-y, cutting with a axe instead of a scalpel. It just would have probably fit better for the Peter Parker character. Now again, there is some debate of the validity of this story, and Phil Lord did come out on Twitter yesterday to sort of defend the honor of Avi Arad, explaining that Avi was a big part of what happened in Into the Spider-Verse, and he helped Chris Lord and Phil Miller, reverse that, Phil Lord, Chris Miller. Yeah, he helped them make a really good film. And so, there's some people out there arguing on whether or not this is real. But the bottom line is a lot of this is all being fueled by the rumors of the Spider-Verse elements for Spider-Man 3 and fans being concerned that that is a Sony move. And what this whole leaked DM Avi Arad situation looks to expose is that what fans thought was going on between Marvel Studios and Sony was not actually what was going on. It's at the very least more complicated than that, and it's also possible that some of the decisions we thought Kevin Feige was making, he was being forced to make because of Sony. Another part of this story indicates that Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige signed the arrangement for these new Spider-Man deals behind Avi Arad's back, and that he will no longer be involved with Spider-Man, at least the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and this sort of tracks some of the things I've been hearing as well. It seems like Feige has been able to keep more control of Tom Holland Spider-Man and to potentially keep him in the MCU. Amy and Kevin have had a very good working relationship, minus one sandwich throwing event. And so it's really cool to see that they might be the only two producers on Spider-Man No Way Home, but that is the report. A lot of rumorage, leaked DMs, a lot of modern day weirdness going on, but it's a major story that's blowing up, so we wanted to bring it to you here. Next up, Michael Keaton is back to playing Batman in the Flash movie?
No way!
According to the Rap's very own Humberto Gonzalez, who I do think does a bang-up job as a reporter, Michael Keaton is indeed going to be playing Batman in the Flash movie. According to Humberto, Michael Keaton's talent agency, ICM Partners, has confirmed the actor will return as Batman in The Flash. Now, this one's kind of interesting because you'll remember that Humberto Gonzalez and The Rap were the first people to break the massive story that Keaton would be returning as Batman, not only in The Flash, but potentially to set up a sort of Batman Beyond thing in the DCEU moving forward. Now, we now know that Ben Affleck as Batman will also appear in the Flash movie, and there's some confusion on if this is a baton passing thing, if this is a reboot thing, or if this is just a multiverse thing. I still don't think we have all of the answers. But just a month ago, Deadline ran a story that seemed to throw some cold water onto the rumors of Michael Keaton returning to the Batman role. You'll recall he did an interview basically saying he hadn't even read the script, basically saying that, yeah, I don't know how to say it's a thing, but it's not a thing. And many of us, myself included, took the comments by Michael Keaton to pretty strongly say he was not going to be a part of the Flash film. But the newest report by Humberto suggests that that may have just been some deflection, or perhaps being caught in a really human concerned moment about what is going on in the world as far as safety for an older person like Michael Keaton. Who knows for sure? But DC currently going through a lot of turmoil, trying to get things started and set up in sort of the Hamadaverse, which looks to be a connected universe, utilizing the characters in films being headed up by Walter Hamada and that division over at DC Films. But you also have the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League blowing up, making waves, and a lot of fans clamoring for Zack to take the reins of the DCEU, or at the very least be allowed to continue his vision with those characters over on HBO Max. And a story like this always confuses me because normally the Hollywood trades seem to be on the same page. This one has been really confusing, and it has been very interesting to watch how all of the different Hollywood trades cover aspects of the Snyderverse, including the Ray Fisher story, the more controversial elements, but just the normal things like what movies are coming out. There seems to be this confusion, almost a trade war of sorts going on there. And though I respect Umberto, and I think he is reporting accurately here, I'm not 100% convinced that Keaton actually will be in The Flash. I'd like to see a little bit more than an article like this, but it is making major waves, and it might well be the case that Michael Keaton is doing the Flash movie. You let me know what you think that means in the comments section below. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on a story that's a little bit old, but seems to still be on everybody's mind, and this would be the whole thing about Rian Johnson directing or writing an episode of The Mandalorian. Now look, there's a lot to this. Apparently he was asked in an interview on whether or not he would ever do it. He said it has to do with scheduling. He also said he would love to do it and says he had talked to Dave Filoni about it. That was frankly enough for the internet to go absolutely crazy. And I wanted to talk about this story because it shows actually, I think, the exact reason that Rian will not direct or write an episode of The Mandalorian, why you as a Marvel or as a Star Wars fan, despite how you feel about The Last Jedi, should not want Rian to write and direct an episode of The Mandalorian, and why I think Disney is less than interested in having him return to Star Wars, because this is really a nothing burger. It's a non-story. And yet, it has blown up to absurd degrees. Simply mentioning Rian Johnson's name while being attached to anything Star Wars is sure to cause an internet kerfuffle. And unfortunately, what this means is, again, regardless of how you feel about Rian or his ability as a filmmaker, I think he is fantastic. I did not like The Last Jedi, although I have been back and forth on it. I probably don't hate it as much as many of you. I do not want to see Rian touch Star Wars simply because if he does, all of the coverage and the story and the social media stuff will all be about Rian. It won't be about the project. That is the bed that in some ways Rian created for himself. It is the bed that I think he must sleep in. And so many of you probably wondering what I think about this or how I feel about it. First of all, I think it's not a story at all that people wish would have blown up. That's why I'm talking about it like a week later. But also, no, man, don't let Rian Johnson near Star Wars ever again. Not necessarily because he couldn't do a good job, but because of what it would do to the Star Wars brand. And that's going to do it for us for our very first episode of the Nerdy News Rundown coming back at you. We will be back at it tomorrow, breaking down all of the nerdy news for you. Make sure you're checking out the live streaming channel. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel and checking out all the other content that we do. I would consider checking out the Discord too. But as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.